to my YouTube channel. If you love to solve a mystery, you've come to the right place. Grab yourself a pen and paper, and together we're going to look at mysteries and try to solve them. My name is Beth MacIntosh. I'm a physical medium in the same way that physical media transmits data in data communications. I have seen apparitions and visions since I was a child. Victims of crime send me downloads of information that give me the facts of every case. So let me show you how this works. When you send a text message or a picture or video from this mobile device to another device, you do not see the pictures or words float in the air and land on the chosen device. Instead, you take for granted that the images and words magically appear from one device to the other. In reality, electromagnetic energy is used to transmit your message via satellite and then arrive at its destination. It's the same with mediumship. I can see the data better if I wear a blindfold, similar to a virtual reality mask. It is science that allows me to see into the past and into the future, not hocus pocus. You will witness how this works firsthand. I invite you to write down clues and facts and piece together what we believed happened in every case. Enter comments below, but please be respectful of other people's comments and keep this an engaging and respectful channel. Thank you so much. So, let's get into today's mystery. Hello guys, good to see you again. So this is the case of Julia Wallace. William Herbert Wallace was accused of killing his wife Julia Wallace in 1931. I chose this case as an example of how the justice system in the UK can present evidence that can so easily create confusion. This confusion then makes it hard for a jury to conclude that a crime was committed by a particular person beyond reasonable doubt. This is not only a complex case, but it is a crime that occurred at a time when capital punishment for murder was still an outcome. In the trial of William Herbert Wallace, he was found guilty by the jury for killing his wife and was sentenced to be hanged. Assured of his innocence, an appeal was made and the verdict was eventually overturned. However, the mystery remains to this day unsolved. So if William was innocent, who killed Julia Wallace? Using the transcript of the trial and witness statements, I have researched the facts and present them to you as best I can. After looking at everything, I concluded that the only person who could confirm what really happened was Julia Wallace, the victim. Mr. Wallace was an insurance salesman with the Prudential Insurance Company. In 1931, premiums were collected in cash from your list of clients, and so cash was a security issue at the Wallace home at this time. The motive for the murder was not clearly defined according to the trial notes, and there were no fingerprints at the scene of any other person other than Mr. and Mrs. Wallace. Some cash, according to William, had been taken, but not a large amount. Mrs. Wallace was found murdered in the front parlour, which William later confirmed was only used for music practice and the receiving of guests. The Wallaces enjoyed playing music together. Julia played the piano and he the violin. To the outside world, their relationship was as harmonious as their music, never a crossword and total compatibility. The police photographs affirm that a piano was in the front parlour. Wallace confirms that the couple spent most of their time in the rear kitchen living room. The cash box for collection of the premiums was on a top shelf in the kitchen. Her body was next to an open fireplace and was lying on the floor with burns to her clothing. It is not clear whether she fell into the fire after being struck or whether she was bending over the fire to poke the fire when she was struck, but the murderer took the time to extinguish the fire using a MacIntosh. She was severely beaten over the head. The coroner estimates some 10 times. The murder weapon was never found, but a maid confirmed that both a poker and iron bar were missing from the property. Thus the murderer had left with the weapons after the act had been committed. A telephone call was made from a public phone box only 400 yards away from the Wallaces' home. Telephone operators were able to give the police the exact location of the phone box where the hoax call was made. The call was made by a man with an ordinary voice, but was well spoken as they described the voice as that of an elderly man. The local chess club was situated inside a cafe. The man emphasised the word cafe, whereas locals would normally just say caf for short. The call was put through by the operators to the local chess club, of which Wallace was a regular member. This was Monday the 19th of January 1931. Someone knew that Wallace would be there that evening, but Wallace had not yet arrived. The message was left with the captain of the chess club, a Mr. Beattie. The message was from a Mr. R.M. Qualtrough and requested that Wallace pay him a visit at Qualtrough's home the following evening at 7:30 to discuss the nature of his business. Mr. Qualtrough did not want a call back to confirm that evening, as he was in the middle of family celebrations, namely a 21st birthday party. He gave the address as 25 Menlove Gardens East in Liverpool. When Wallace was given the message, he denied knowing such person and was unsure whether to go. What is important is the mention of a 21st birthday party celebration. The Prudential at that time offered investment plans for people who were 21 years of age, and these plans yielded considerable commission for the salesman. This is an important clue to write down. The following evening, he ventured to 25 Menlove Gardens East, but discovered the place did not exist. There was no Menlove Gardens East. Numerous witnesses would testify that he made the journey by tram and asked for directions, but the police felt that there were so many witnesses it was difficult not to interpret his actions as nothing less than creating a very strong alibi. The address did not exist, and in conclusion, neither did a Mr. R.M. Qualtrough. Wallace would argue that he only ventured out that night on the insistence of his wife, who was suffering from serious bronchitis. He did not want to leave her, but the law of high commission may have been the incentive to go out that night. There was no free health service in the 1930s. The police concluded that Wallace had made the call, as the phone box was only 400 yards away from his home. He was late for the chess club match, which meant that he had plenty of time to make the call and then press on to the club. The call was to strengthen an alibi. On Tuesday evening, he killed his wife wearing his own MacIntosh, which became splattered in blood, and left the MacIntosh in the same room so that blood did not contaminate any other areas of the house. The police suggested that he was naked under the coat and then got dressed upstairs for the hoax appointment. Forensics found no blood in the bathroom or bedroom. At this point, I need to alert you to the fact that the same forensic scientist made two reports. The first report claimed but he estimated the time of death of Julia as 19:50 p.m, which would be 10 to 8, with only 3 to 4 blows to the head. His later report stated that her time of death was 1800 hours, 6 o'clock, with some 10 to 11 blows to the head. Why the change? 6 o'clock would give Wallace enough time to appear naked, wearing his Mackintosh, in the parlour, on the pretext of playing music again with her. Kill her, take the Mackintosh off, go upstairs, blood-free, to dress for the bogus appointment. Swayed by the strength of the police reports and the fact that Wallace appeared cold and detached in the witness box, the jury convicted him of murder. What do you think? Julia's life assurance policy had a death benefit of only £20. William had more than that in his bank account. William argued that the motive was robbery, as cash had gone missing. On summing up, the judge concluded that the police were remiss by not including two vital witness testimonies that only the defence had brought to the trial, namely a milk delivery boy and newspaper delivery boy. Both testified that Julia Wallace was still alive between 6:35 and 6:50. So that would be between 1835 and 1850. They also both confirmed that she was ill with bronchitis because she had conversed with them and had told them of that fact. Wallace protested his innocence and provided a list of names and associates who he believed Julia would let into the front parlour as a guest. One such person was a rather handsome Richard Gordon Parry. Parry used to work for the Prudential, and so was an ex-work colleague. He was a budding actor, but was dismissed from the Prudential for stealing. Wallace felt that Parry was the murderer and confirmed this to the police. Parry knew that premiums were due to be paid in every Wednesday, and that Tuesday night Wallace would have a large amount of cash on the premises. Parry would also know that a 21st birthday would be significant, and that the law of high commission would ensure that Wallace would make the journey and leave the house that night. Not only had paths crossed as work colleagues, but Parry attended a drama class on Thursday evenings. The venue for the drama club was the same cafe as the chess club. Parry could see from notice board information that Wallace was due to attend on Monday the 19th of January to play in a tournament. Coincidence? His alibi for Tuesday evening was that he was at a friend's house. Both his friend and aunt confirmed this. He had been at his friend's house from 5:30 to 8:30, 17:30 hours to 20:30 hours. So guys, you can now see that the only person who can tell us what happened is Julia herself. So, in vision, I was shown the following. Julia came to me, but with a mistrusting energy. She was not sure how much to tell me. I felt that she was a very noble woman and cared strongly about reputation and respect. I promised that I would give the account on her terms and with words that were acceptable to her. This was her opportunity to lay the story to rest and move on in peace and harmony. Julia wanted me to know at the outset there was no affair with another man. She had arranged to meet someone that evening, but had not told her husband. It was a long-standing friend who happened to be male, in whom she trusted. In 1931, people were still trying to recover from the Great Depression, and money was tight. It was hard to make ends meet. She borrowed money from this person, and he was there to collect. He was after some silver coins that the Prudential gave to employees as commemoration for their good work and success. He seemed to believe that she had these silver coins. She said that they no longer had them, but he did not believe her, so he tried to look for them. He was unsuccessful, so felt entitled to be paid in kind. She refused to offer herself as repayment, and he got angry, realising that the debt could not be repaid. He then killed her. I wanted her to know that there was no shame in borrowing money, and that nearly 100 years later, we are all still struggling to make ends meet. We have food banks, and now heating was unaffordable. I felt again that reputation was very, very important to this fine and noble lady. As a couple, the Wallaces were very well respected. They had standards. She had dignity and wanted to be sure her testimony would be delivered in a dignified manner. She confirmed that the murderer was neither her husband or Parry, but would not reveal the name or identity of the killer. Julia was adamant that this was to protect the descendants of the family name of the killer, as the descendants were innocent. She is adamant that, with such a famous case, there would be backlash for them, and she did not want this. She confirmed that justice has been served, and that there is no need for recriminations or revenge. I confirmed that it was a testimony of her charity, love and dignity, that she wished to protect the family name of the killer, and this was a very noble gesture. She was also adamant that all the world needed to know is that the killer was not her husband. He loved animals and children and would not hurt a fly. She recalls at the time around the murder, she missed company and was lonely. She was too trusting and gullible, did not consider herself a woman of the world and was naive. Julia confirms that she was loyal and faithful to her husband, and he was devoted to her. She was sorry for the pain he had to go through and relieved that he was found innocent. She had a message for the world. Give to your community. Find those who are in need, and with honourable love, give without expecting anything in return. She was joined by William, who put his arm around her waist. I prayed for peace and happiness for both. I hoped that this would put the case to rest for them. They waved goodbye, and at last they could move on. Amen. I later did some research online, guys, and I can confirm to you that the Prudential Insurance Company did indeed issue employees with commemorative coins depending upon the years of service and medals for their successes. I believe that the murderer knew that the Prudential made and gifted these coins and knew the Prudential range of products enough to know that an investment plan sold to a 21-year-old would yield high commission. They knew that William would be at a chess game on Monday evening. The killer had a pre-arranged appointment with Julia Wallace, and she was expecting them. We now know that William Wallace was telling the truth. He was innocent. God bless you both, Julia and William, and now at last, may you rest in peace. That's it, guys. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.